Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing a review and my very first impression of the new Charlotte Tilbury Instant Smoky Eye palette for the holidays. This came out, I guess, about a month or so ago, and I held off on buying it for a little while, but I just couldn't resist. So I decided to pick it up, and I definitely wanted to do a video on it because if you're new, I love Charlotte Tilbury. I basically want to try everything. Everything Charlotte Tilbury. I just love the brand. So this is one of the looks that I created, but we did do two looks today, and I'm going to be sharing both of them with you and some swatches as well. I'm also just going to quickly share the 2019 holiday palette with you and show you what that one looked like if you're curious about a comparison between the two. If you're new, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of makeup content, high-end, and drugstore. I hope you will subscribe if you have not already, but let's go ahead and we'll start with some swatches of the palette, and then we'll get into look number one. All right, we're gonna start using this palette now. Hopefully you liked the way I did the swatches earlier. I thought that would be kind of a different way of doing live swatches. I don't know, I thought maybe that was a very pleasing way to see swatches. So let me know if you like it. But we're gonna go ahead and get into this palette. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Smoky Eyes Are Forever Instant Eye Palette. And this is her holiday palette for this year. Well, it's the large pan holiday palette. She has a few eyeshadow quads that have come out for the holidays as well. At the end of the video, I'm gonna get the holiday palette from 2 years ago out. I think it was called Eyes To Hypnotize, but it was kind of similar to this, so I'm gonna bring it out and I'll show it to you. I don't have the one from last year to compare it to, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. I really wanna use all the colors in here, but you know I really wanna use the greens because I love greens. So we're probably gonna do two looks. So the first one, I'm gonna start with this cream shade down here. So this is the first shade in the Love Eyes section of the palette. I want to say in her Eyes To Hypnotize palette from 2 years ago, she had a cream shade like this, but I think it was a shimmer. This one is matte, which I prefer for a cream shade like this. I feel like this is just a good shade to include in a palette like this because you can use it as a base like this, or you can use it as like a blending shade. So if you apply something and it's too dark or just too intense for you, you can go in with a cream shade like this and kind of blend it out, and that will usually tone it down a little bit. So this matte obviously is the first one I'm using, but the formula, I can already tell it's that really silky, nice shadow formula that is typical of her eyeshadows. All right, now we're gonna move up to the green section, which she calls Power Eyes, and we're gonna go into the first matte shade here. It's kind of a taupey brown. I feel like it's the perfect matte to go with these greens. I feel like this color, brown, will work really well with these colors. We're gonna use this as our transition shade. So I'm just putting this above my crease with my eye open. Oh yeah, that's a pretty color. It's a pretty brown. And I did prime my eyes today with my NARS eyeshadow base, like always. I'm using this brush I've been using a lot lately from What's Up Beauty. I feel like I've been using these in a lot of my recent videos. They sent these to me, but they're really nice quality, really soft brushes. This one is kind of similar to my BK Beauty 201. It's the size, I guess, is pretty similar, but this one is a little more tapered on the end, whereas the BK Beauty 201 is a little more rounded on the end. All right, this next shade we're gonna use is probably the one I was most excited about in this palette, and it's the green shimmer in the Power Eyes section. And I'm gonna put this all over my lid. So I'm gonna take some MAC Fix Plus, and I'm gonna try it damp and see what happens. I usually, use my finger for shimmer shades. I just feel like it works the best, but I am gonna use this shader brush and we'll see how it does. So this is from the Sigma Cinderella collection, and this is the E55. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, what a pretty color. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that one worked very well with a damp brush. I guess we'll do the other eye maybe with my finger and we'll see how that does, but wow. What a pretty green. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do the other eye, and I'll use my finger here. So the finish is definitely different. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell on camera, but the side I did with my finger, believe it or not, is like more metallic looking, whereas this one is there, but it's definitely not as like poppy of a metallic, if that makes sense. So I'm actually gonna take my finger back on this side and just add a little bit more. So they look a little more similar, but wow, what a pretty color. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the third shade in the Power Eyes, which is also a green, but a little more of a khaki olivey green. And for this, I'm gonna use, again, by What's Up Beauty. This is the R102. It's the really tiny crease brush I've talked about in a few of my videos, but I wanna see how it does packing this shade on the outer corner. Wow, okay, that did really well with that. This brush, I love this. I've been using this, I feel like, every single time I've done a video recently for this same step. It just does really, really well at applying a darker shade in your outer corner like this. I love it. And this shade is a shimmer as well, and it's applying really, really well like this with a brush. Oh my gosh, look at that. if you guys notice in my videos, when I get really excited about something, I go like that. And my mom, I was talking to her on the phone the other day, and she was like, I was cracking up watching your most recent video because you kept going, I didn't realize how much I do that until she pointed it out, and now when I edit, I just hear myself constantly do that. But that's a sign of true love. So I'm gonna go back in with the transition shade, and I'm using the same brush we used. And I'm just lightly gonna go over mainly the edges of the shades and just make sure everything is nice and blended. Oh my gosh, those two shimmer greens, I was worried they might not look that different on the eyes, like when you put them together, but they really do. This one is a lot deeper than this one. Oh, they're so pretty. So far, all of these shades I've used are blending like a dream. Okay, I actually love how this looks, so I don't want to do a whole lot more with this look, but I am going to take a little bit of the dark brown, which is up at the top in the Confident Eyes section. This is something I really like that she included this time. She has a matte chocolate brown and a matte black. I think that's so smart in a palette like this. I feel like those are just two really good staple things to include in a palette, especially because this is called a smoky eye palette. I love that she did that. Okay, so I'm going to take that same 102, R102. I'm keeping my eye open and just adding a tiny bit of that brown. Not a whole lot. I just want to add a little bit of that brown shade out here. I'm going to take this brush. This is from BK Beauty. It's the Smudge It brush. And I'm taking the dark brown again. And I am basically just going to tap this in along my lash line, like as close as I can get to the lashes. Almost kind of trying to get in between the lashes if I can. Again, this isn't going to add like a ton of color, but I was planning to use a green eyeliner that I hauled in my Sephora haul I did a few videos back, but honestly, this look really doesn't need any eyeliner. Let's see, anything else I want to do? I think I'm just going to take my big blending brush one more time and just kind of go over everything again. All right, you guys, I'm gonna do a little bit on the lower lash line as well, but I'm gonna finish up my face makeup and then I'll be back and we'll do that and we'll finish up with look number 1. Let's do the lower lash line now. So I think I'm gonna take the transition shade, so the first shade in Power Eyes, and we're gonna put this all along the bottom lash line. I think I'm gonna take the deepest shimmer in Power Eyes, the one we used on the outer corner, and I'm gonna put this just on the outer half of the lower lash line and make sure to try to connect it up. And then, okay, one last thing I think I'm gonna do is take a little bit of this shade. So this is a kind of creamy shimmer in the, what is this, Love Eyes. It's really pretty. I haven't used this color yet. I'm gonna pop that. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty. In the inner corner. Ooh, this shade is like almost a soft shimmer. Almost, it kind of reminds me of like the ColourPop shimmers, like the Super Shocks. That is pretty though. Okay, now I'm gonna finish my mascara and my lips and I will show you the final look. All right, so this is the final look and as expected, I love this. Mainly because of the greens in this palette. I freaking love green, and these two shimmery metallic greens, I mean, honestly, those two alone are so pretty. Even without the transition shade or without the dark brown or anything like that, those two shades together, so pretty. If I'm gonna do a smoky eye, these are definitely the colors I would choose if I could pick, more than like a black grayish kind of smoky eye, which is kind of what you think of when you hear the word smoky. But if you love greens, I'm not saying you need to buy this palette just for the greens, because you don't, but I love these. Love, love, love these. I do really want to do another look and use some of these up here. And I want to use these down here as well a little bit more. I will say this shade I put in my inner corner, this champagne-y shimmer, there was some fallout with that shade because it was very, almost like a bouncy texture, and it's so pretty, but I did get a little bit of fallout under my eye from that shade, but I was able to wipe most of it away because I did set my under eyes with powder. I used the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush powder. I'm very, very impressed so far with how these shadows blended. They blend so easily and so well, which is my number one thing. If you're gonna spend this kind of money on eyeshadow, it needs to be easy to work with. And so far, these shades are. So I'm very excited about that. But we're gonna do one more look with this palette. So I'm gonna go take this off, sadly. I really don't wanna take this eye makeup off, but I'm going to, and then I will be back and we'll do look number 2. Okay, I'm back. So we're gonna start with look number 2. I obviously did my brows and primed with my NARS eyeshadow base again. And this time I want to use these. These are called Happy Eyes up here. So they're more of like reddish gold colors. I want to use this black, and then I want to use at least this shimmer, maybe this shimmer too. I don't know. We're just going to see what happens here. So I'm thinking I'm still going to use just a little bit of that transition shade that we use, the Power Eyes color. Oh, actually, before we do that, I'm going to use the cream that we used the first time, and I'm just going to put this all over. All right, and then I'll go in with just a little bit of that transition shade. All right, I think now I'm gonna go into the matte in the Happy Eyes trio. So this is more of a reddish, kind of a brick color. And I'm gonna use that R102 from What's Up Beauty. And I'm gonna start adding this to the outer corner. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I just kind of tapped, or I cleaned off my brush a little bit more because I feel like some of that chocolate brown was kind of stuck on this brush from earlier. Yeah, so I'm just gonna place this down, and then we'll go back and blend in a minute. All right, now I'm going back with the big blender brush we used first and just lightly blending. It's interesting, that shade, and it could be when it kind of mixes with that taupe brown transition shade. That shade doesn't look as reddish on my eyes, but again, it could be because it's mixing with the color that was already there. But honestly, I don't mind it. It turns more of like just a warmer brown instead of that red color, because that was the one color in the palette I wasn't like over the moon excited about. But I do want to use the shade next to it, which is this kind of a corally metallic. I don't know if you would call it coral. it's an orangey, kind of a burnt orange, I guess, metallic. Okay, I'm gonna try this color again with some MAC Fix Plus and just see what happens. And then if it's the same as that green shade earlier, when I use my finger, we'll just go back over both sides with my finger. But for this, I'm basically tapping it kind of in the center of the lid and bringing it up and then back over to the outer corner, kind of like in a circle. That color is pretty. It kind of reminds me of, it's almost like a pumpkin color. But I'm betting if I go over it with my finger, yeah. See how much more pigment you get when you go over it with your finger? But that shade is very pretty. Actually, this shade reminds me of like October, which it is right now, November, like pumpkins, pumpkin spice. Ooh, now I feel like this side I used the brush first is a little bit deeper. So maybe I'll go back over the other side. It's interesting. So the wet brush definitely makes the color pop a little bit more, but then your finger makes the color look like more metallic almost. All right, now I really want to use the other shade in the Happy Eyes, which is this gorgeous warm gold, and I'm going to put that all in this inner part of my lid. So I'm going to again spray my brush. I'm just using, this is a Marc Jacobs eyeshadow shader brush actually. Oh man, that just picked up a lot of that color. Look at all that. Okay, probably use that for both eyes. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. Do you see that? I hope that's translating on camera. Wow. So I'm gonna kind of bring that up a little bit, kind of almost up into the crease, just slightly, so it'll kind of makes it look like I have more lid space than I do, but hopefully you can see how metallic that is. Wow, that shade is stunning. Oh my Lord, look at that. Wow. I mean, do you see that? Okay, so we'll go into the black, which is up here, and this section is called Confident Eyes. I'm using that same R102 brush, and I'm gonna tap this in this outer corner. This black is going on pretty well for a black. Sometimes blacks can be kind of tricky. Yeah, that went on really, really well. Okay, now I'm gonna go back into my crease brush and just blend away. Actually, I think I'm gonna add a little more of the transition shade, that brown, and add that back in the crease area. I kind of took over that color with that metallic gold, but wow, what a pretty combo. I'm not sure how Charlotte Tilbury does it, but when she makes these palettes, it's like she combines shades really, really well. And even when you use a shade like that burnt orange pumpkin that is pretty, you know, intense, somehow her colors just pair perfectly together. I don't know how, but wow, that is so, so pretty. I kind of want to take a little bit of, I don't know how this is going to mix though. I was going to say I want to take this pink shimmer up here that's in Confident Eyes, and this shade is pink, but it has like a purpley looking reflect to it. That's what it looks like. It's really, really pretty. It's almost a mauve-y color. So I'm just gonna tap a little tiny bit of that in the center, and you can see that just added just the tiniest bit of like a rosy color. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna do for right now. I don't know if I'll add anything else once I do my face, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and then I'll be back. So I wanna do the lower lash line. I will list and link all the makeup I have on my face right now if you're curious. It will be in the description box. I use the same makeup for both looks. I just redid it each time because I just cannot remove just eyeshadow and not mess everything else up, and I feel like I have to kind of fix it and I don't like how it looks, so I just started over. For the lower lash line, I'm gonna go into the matte kind of reddish shade that we used, and I'm gonna put that on the lower lash line. I think I'm gonna take the black in the palette and I'm just gonna take like one little dip into that black, and I'm just putting it right on the outer corner and kind of flicking it up so that it kind of connects to this outer corner. Then I'm just gonna take a clean brush. So this brush has no shadow on it, and I'm just gonna kind of very, very lightly blend. And honestly, that's probably all I'm gonna do. I guess I'll take a little bit of the cream we used first, that matte cream shade, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of that under my brow bone. And then I think I'm gonna take a little bit more of the black, and I'm using that same little outer corner brush, and I'm just gonna add a little bit more, like I'm just barely tapping it, just to intensify it just a bit more. And then I'll go back in with my larger blending brush, and I'm almost just kind of tapping it, and then I'll go around the edges too, and I'm holding my brush out really, really far. I feel like this is something I've learned over the years of really since I've been on YouTube and I've practiced my makeup so many times. One of the biggest or best ways to blend is to use a large brush like this and hold it way at the very, very bottom and just barely touch your eye with it. I feel like I used to hold it like closer up here and go in, and a lot of times you can blend that way, but you'll move your color around instead of just kind of diffusing it. So I think that's all I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my mascara and my lips, and then we'll finish up the video. Okay, so this is the final look for look number 2, and honestly, you guys, I thought I was definitely gonna love look 1 the best just because I love greens. That's more like inside my comfort zone. This is very outside my comfort zone, but I actually really love it. I think for a special occasion, obviously neither of these looks are like everyday looks for me at all, but I definitely think this is more, both are smoky eyes. This one is more bronzy, orangey, pumpkin-y smoky eye, and then the other one is obviously more of a foresty olive green smoky eye. So I do like the fact that this is called a smoky eye palette, and you do get like the classic black in here and the classic brown, but because you get such different other colors in here, I feel like you can do different versions of a smoky eye, if that makes sense. Not like the typical black gray smoky eye. These shadows blended so easily, so easily, you guys. I mean, you would expect them to for this price. These palettes are not cheap. They're $75, and it did not disappoint me. But I did want to show you, so this is the, let's see, Starry Eyes To Hypnotize from 2 years ago. So I reviewed this back in, let's see, 2019, which is the year I started my channel. And this was actually my first large Charlotte Tilbury palette, but you can see they're definitely somewhat similar, mainly with the greens. This one had greens as well, but like this shade down here is a matte in the new palette. It's a cream, but it's a matte cream. And then in this palette, the matte up here is a dark navy blue, whereas you get the black and the brown in this new smoky eye palette. So definitely somewhat similar. Even this color, this is kind of a rosy matte right here. Similar, when I first looked at it, I thought maybe it was similar to this one up here, but this one is more of a brick red, whereas that one is more of a pinky rose color. And then like down here, like I was saying, this color is matte and this palette is shimmery in that palette. So the closest colors are definitely the two shimmery greens. I'll just swatch them really quickly and show you. So these are the two from the 2019 palette, and these are the two from the new palette. So they are similar for sure. I feel like this color, the one we put all over the lid in the first look, is a little more green than this color. This is green too, but it's almost more of like it's a little more olivey, not so green, but yes, those colors are definitely pretty similar. I also think that the new palette, these two, they're a little more reflective, a little more sparkly looking, whereas the original or the 2019 palette is a little more just like a metallic shimmer. And I do know I've seen several people say that the formula, there's a few new changes to the formula in the new palette. So definitely a little bit similar, but overall I think they're pretty different, other than those two green shades. But this was the palette from 2019. And actually, another thing I was going to say, if you want this palette but you don't want to spend the money on it right now, or you want it like as a Christmas gift or something, they do say these are limited edition, but in my experience, these palettes hang around for quite a while. I'm not 100% positive, but I'll check. I almost think this palette is still available on the Charlotte Tilbury website. So I'll check on that. If it is, I'll link it below with everything else, but there's no hurry on these things is what I'm trying to say. So don't feel like if you want this palette, you need to go out and buy it right this second. You don't, but I do love it. I think it's beautiful and I love how this turned out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know which look was your favorite in the comments, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I am posting every single day in October here on YouTube. So we would love to have you here. I hope you'll subscribe. Also, make sure to follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair01. I'll see you guys next time. I'm laughing at the swatches on my fingers, but I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Sunday morning, waking up with you. We got no plans, we got nothing.